What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another edition of the Triple Threat Show. As always, I'm your host, Merrill Fatemi. For today's show, we're going to jump straight into it. It's going to be a basketball show. We got the Super Bowl coming up in 4 days here, or 5 days. It is Tuesday. We got to wait until Sunday. So we're going to take a couple days off away from the Super Bowl. We know Drake May, we know Sam Darnold, we know Mike Vrabel and Mike McDonald are getting their teams ready. But we're going to stay away from that. We're going to pivot to the world of the NBA. The world of the NBA that's actually really spicing up right now. We got the NBA trade deadline here on Thursday, just a couple days away, and things are really heating up. We heard late last night that the Los Angeles Clippers are looking to move off or are entertaining trade talks for James Harden. Now, yeah, it's Rob. It's the same James Harden. It's the guy that doesn't know how to play defense. The guy's getting old. He was in Houston for a while, the former MVP guy. Yep, that guy. He's still James Harden. He's still averaging at least 20 points a game right now, and he's playing really good basketball. So the another thing is this Clippers team is starting to move off of their key core. They're trying to move their core away. They're trying to move off of their core with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. They're trying to move off those two guys by 2027. That's what they've made pretty clear now. I mean, I didn't expect this trade to be happening right now, especially with the way the Clippers have been playing. We're gonna dive into everything. Some trade suitors that have been talking about him. Some teams that have been looking out there for a guy like a James Harden. But before I move any further, be sure to drop a like, drop a follow. You're watching the Triple Threat Show. We go live every single morning at 9:30 in the morning, around 9 in the morning. And yeah, let's jump straight into it. Like I said, this is a Clippers team that is trying to move off of these two core guys by the summer of 2027. They've made explicably clear. But when you look at this Clippers team, they're like 19-6 in their last 27 games. They played extremely good basketball since Kawhi Leonard has come back. Now, before that, we all know how bad they were playing, but James Harden does not need to be left does not need to deal with all that firestorm. And I say that only because he's averaging 25 points a game or 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 41% from the field. I mean, he's not having a horrible year. 35% from 3, you want to see that a little bit higher, but he's not having a horrible season like a lot of people think he is. Like his record, like the Clippers record was showing to start the season. This is a Clippers team that's playing in the hardest Western Conference I've seen since my days of watching the NBA, if I'm being completely honest. This Western Conference is loaded. Right now, there are 5 teams with over 30 wins. On the Eastern Conference, there's 3. There's either 5 or 6 in the West right now. So what I'm telling you is this is a Western Conference that's going to be loaded. It's going to be incredibly competitive. And if you're missing your best player, if not your second best player in Kawhi Leonard, you're not going to be able to win games like this consistently. You might win a few, but you're going to lose close games. You're going to lose games that go down the stretch. And there's going to be some days that you lose blowout games, like, for example, the Celtics game at the beginning of the season. But here we are today. Today is February 3rd. And as of last night, around 11:30 last night, the Los Angeles Clippers are entertaining trade talks for James Harden. Now, where are some places that where's the team where did this news come from? So the trade talk that really pushed this narrative, that really pushed this out of the envelope and made this news instead of just a rumor. It looks like the Cleveland Cavaliers are extremely interested and were in advanced trade talks with the Clippers last night to make a trade for Darius Garland, to swap the two Darius Garland for James Harden. Now, the reason that's been coming out this morning, the reason that didn't go through last night, right when it came out, is the fact that the Cavs are looking for an additional pick or pick swap with James Harden. Now, I don't know if that's exactly what the Cleveland Cavaliers need. This is a guy. This is a guy in Darius Garland that has unbelievable talent. He's a great player. He's a great two-way player, maybe decent two-way player, but he's a great off-ball shooter. He's a great scorer. He's not he hasn't really taken that leap as a point guard as the Cleveland Cavaliers wanted him to. Granted, you have Donovan Mitchell on the team. You don't need a point guard when there's Donovan Mitchell right there. But you'd want him to be a better ball handler. You'd want him to be a better passer. You'd want him to also just be there on the floor more often. because the amount of times that he is hurt, even last playoffs, he got hurt right when the playoffs took place. I think the year before that he also got hurt, but um, like right when the playoffs started, he was getting hurt. But this is a guy in Darius Garland that has a really high ceiling. He could learn a thing or two from a guy like a Kawhi Leonard. Granted, he played with Donovan Mitchell. You're going from vet to vet, but you're going from the Eastern Conference now to the Western Conference. So that's going to be a big time jump for Garland in terms of quality of play, in terms of competitiveness, in terms of strength of schedule, in terms of the type of quality of teams that you're going to be facing on a night in night out basis. But Garland's a good player. I don't hate the move. I just think the Cavs, like I said, I'm happy that they're at least looking to add a pick to that because Garland, how old is Garland right now? 26? How old? Let's see how old Darius Garland is, because he's cannot be that old. He's 26. He got drafted in 2019. Wow, 2019. It's been that long. I thought it was like 2022. 26. Trading a 26-year-old for a 37-year-old straight up does not make a whole lot of sense. Yeah, James Harden's averaging 25 points a game. Nice. That's cool. But it looks like they're going to either need to add a third team to get that pick over to the Cavs, or the Clippers are going to need to add one of those picks. And I think they're just going to hold off and see whatever the rest of the market is. Now, the Cavs are not the only team interested in this kid, in James Harden. The Minnesota Timberwolves, a really, really interesting team, because this Minnesota Timberwolves team is already pretty good. They already have a top five, probably right now a top 5 player in the league in Anthony Edwards, with the way that he's playing, just coming off a 40-point game last night, 39 points in 40 minutes, 7 rebounds, 3 assists last night for Anthony Edwards. This team is still really, really good. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, Dante DiVincenzo, Bones Highland, Mike Conley, Naz Reid. You go down the list, this team is incredibly deep. They have shooters, they have defense. But if they can add a guy like a James Harden that can to add another legit, real, pure shooter, maybe you have to move off a guy like a Mike Conley and not a Rudy Gobert, because you need some size on the inside. But maybe like a Jaden McDaniels if they have to, or a Mike Conley maybe throw in some picks. I think the Cavs could really benefit off some role players as well to play with Donovan Mitchell, because I mean this is a Cavs team. If you look at them, they're incredibly balanced as well. They have Donovan Mitchell. They have the two bigs with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. We'll get into Jared Allen in a second here, but this is a team that's incredibly balanced as well. Dean Wade is still there. They need some more shooters. They need some more They need players like a Jaden McDaniels, like a Mike Conley. Darius Garland hasn't even been there. How many Darius Garland missed games? I mean, we haven't even seen him he's missed a significant amount of time this season due to that toe injury that he suffered in the playoffs last season. So this is why I'm saying that the Cavs should move off of Darius Garland, just because of the fact that he's not there. The problem is he's not there this season. If he was there, if he was playing, if he was at least showing any signs of both getting better as a player, but also being there in terms of availability, being there for his team to play, because he's the number 2 option for the team behind Donovan Mitchell in terms of scoring, that's a big deal. That's a really, really big deal. 40 games, 45 games into the season, not even being there for 30, 35 games is a big time problem. Missing 30 to 35 games so far through the season is a big deal. I don't blame the Cavs for wanting to move off of him. And going back to the Timberwolves situation, they have players that they could give up: a McDaniels, a Mike Conley, a Dante DiVincenzo, a Bones Highland. Throw in some picks. Maybe the Timberwolves are going to have to get rid of Julius Randle, even though I wouldn't want them to. But it would give, if you bring in a guy like a James Harden, it would at least give the Timberwolves another shooter, another guy that Anthony Edwards can pick and pop to, that they could use to beat a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder when they get red hot. A team like the San Antonio Spurs, the Houston Rockets, when they go up and D up on Anthony Edwards. When they lock down Anthony Edwards and throw two guys at Anthony Edwards and they force somebody else on that Timberwolves team to beat them, that's when a guy like James Harden will show up and his impact will be felt as an X factor kind of guy come playoff time. So I think that's a really good move for the Timberwolves. Some other teams here, Pelicans, Raptors, have shown some interest in James Harden. James Harden's already said no. Now, the Raptors have been everywhere. The Raptors are going to be active, I hope, at the trade deadline. They've been pretty much in every single name. They've been out there for Giannis. They've been out there for now James Harden. They've been out there for John Morant, Zion Williamson. They've been out there for pretty much every big name free agent because this Raptors team is on a mission right now to make a name for themselves, to separate themselves from the rest of the pack and show that they're a real team in this Eastern Conference. They have 30 wins right now in the Eastern Conference. They're in fourth place. They're playing incredibly well right now on all levels. I really like this Raptors team. Their players are a little bit iffy. I mean, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes are no joke. RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, but it really falls off a cliff from there. Jakob Poeltl's pretty good, but after that, I mean, Grady Dick, Jamal Sheed, Garrett Temple. You just need some more guys that can really step up in a big moment. You need some depth on your team. They have a really loaded starting lineup, but what happens when that second unit comes in? That's the problem. When the second unit comes in, the opposing team's bench and some of their starters just come in and pick your team apart. So that's why the Raptors are going after some of these big name players. I don't have any problem with that. They should honestly go after a guy like a Garland, anybody that they can get at the trade deadline. And you know that Masai Ujiri is going to be out there and making some moves for the Toronto Raptors. From there, we're still sticking with the Harden trade talk. Stay with me here. A team that James Harden's interested in and has a preferred trade destination, if there was a preferred trade destination for James Harden. He's already said, I want to go to Atlanta. Now, the Atlanta Hawks are really, really interesting because this is a Hawks team that can either show up and score 90 points or they could show up and score 120 or 130 points. It's a really, really wishy-washy team. They decide pretty much when they want to show up and show out. Like, for example, 2 weeks ago last week when they played the Celtics, they came out, punched the Celtics in the mouth, were pretty much up by 20 points all game long. I know the final score was like 11 points, but regardless, they were up by 20 points pretty much all game long for at least 25 to 30 minutes of that game. They were up by 20 points or more. That is how good they were playing against the Celtics. They were lasering any shot that went up. They were lasering it. Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels is no joke. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the guy from the Minnesota Timberwolves last year that showed up big time in some of those playoff games, but also had some of those games where you at, NAW? You know you're that good of a guy. You know how good of a shooter you can be, but you don't show up when you're supposed to. You don't show up on a night in, night out basis. They have CJ McCollum, which brings us big time veteran status. Excuse me. And if they can add James Harden to that, I think it's only going to push that envelope for these younger guys to get better, to continue to develop some of the younger talent on this team and lighten some of the load, lighten some of the pressure that are on some of these guys down the stretch. James Harden would do great things, I think, in this Atlanta Hawks team. I'm not saying that they're going to go out there and win an NBA championship, but they would get out of the play-in tournament. They would find themselves closer to the 7th seed where the Miami Heat land, maybe try and push up into the top 6, make it competitive. This Hawks team is good. This Hawks team is not to be underrated. I'm serious. That is how good of a team it is. When they play really well, they're a great offensive and defensive team. They play, but honestly, they're more of a defensive team. James Harden would push the envelope as an offensive team, would make them a better offensive talented team. So I think it would help them in a lot of different ways if the Hawks could land him. And finally, if there was one team that I think that Rob thinks that could actually really, one team that could really use James Harden right now. And I'm sorry that this segment has gone on for so long. How long have we been talking? We've been talking about James Harden for like 15 minutes. I promise this is the last of it. One team that would really, really benefit from James Harden's talents that nobody's really thinking of, and I don't know if they really want him, but I think could really use him right now. It's the Houston Rockets. It's the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets are almost the same, like they're a better version of the Atlanta Hawks. They're a more talented version of the Atlanta Hawks. They have better defensive players, they have better offensive players, but still they could really benefit off more offense. They're incredibly good defensively. They can hold down teams. Alperen Sengun is no joke. Amon Thompson's no joke. Dorian Finney-Smith's a great two-way player. Jabari Smith Jr. Is a no joke. Aaron Holiday, yes, the brother of Drew Holiday, still has some of that defensive talent in him. They have guys on both sides of the ball. Of course, I didn't even mention Kevin Durant offensively. I didn't mention Fred VanVleet offensively, even though they did just lose Fred VanVleet. I think they could really benefit off of another veteran offensive talent on this team. And who better than to bring in your old guy, James Harden, the guy that won an MVP in that city, that almost made an NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors years and years ago. Why not pair up Kevin Durant and James Harden on the same team? Yeah, it was the same. Maybe that's why. Maybe Kevin Durant doesn't want a repeat, so to speak, of the Brooklyn Nets from 4 years ago. But I think this Houston Rockets team could really benefit from a James Harden right now. Same situation as all of these teams could really benefit from another offensive piece to take some of the pressure off of their top guys. Take some of the pressure off of Kevin Durant. Take some of the pressure off of Alperen Sengun and some of the other role players, Jae'Sean Tate. Take some of the pressure off of some of the offensive players on this team and add another piece, another X factor that can get it done down the stretch, that can get hot. That is what James Harden is. That's what he can be. That's what he's been with the Clippers all season long. Yeah, he's been more of a facilitator there, but I mean, he's still been a quality piece over there in LA with the Clippers. So, regardless of what's going to happen, I expect James Harden, with how it's been talked about, I kind of expect something to happen before the end of the trade deadline, before Thursday. I expect the trade to come out. There is one last thing that I want to talk about here. Well, there's two things. I haven't no real news has come out about this, but ever since last night, some more rumors have been coming out quick, fast, and in a hurry, and there's a lot coming out of Cleveland. This is why I said I wanted to come back to Cleveland early on in the show. Cleveland Cavaliers are exploring trades for Jarrett Allen. Now, Jarrett Allen's a great two-way player. Well, at least a great defensive player, because offensively, he picks and chooses when he wants to play. He has 0 points some games. He has 40 points some games. For example, 2 nights ago when he had 40 points in a game. I don't remember who they played, but he had 40 and 17 in a game, Jarrett Allen. But there's also games, like I said, he has 0 points. He has 10 points. And you just can't have that if you're the Cavs. You cannot have a guy that's that level of inconsistent like this. Having a guy that can go 12 and 10 is really nice. But especially when you need an offensive talent, you can't have it. You can't have it. Yeah, he had 40 and 10 against Donovan Clingan and the Portland Trailblazers. And you got to feel bad for Donovan Clingan getting eaten up for lunch right over there. But pretty much it's just to get some of the contracts off the books. Jarrett Allen's a guy with a contract that's owed $90.7 million over the next 3 seasons. So moving off of that contract will not only unlock some of the bigger possibilities of what's next for this Cleveland Cavaliers team, to unlock give them some sort of leeway that they can do something, that they can add some players, not only before the trade deadline, but come this off season. That is why they're trying to get rid of Jarrett Allen, as well as apparently they're starting to monitor and see and try and they're monitoring the situation right now with Donovan Mitchell. Now, I don't know how much to really take from that. But Donovan Mitchell apparently is a name. There's been rumors that have been circulating around Donovan Mitchell's name, and teams are monitoring his situation in Cleveland. If Donovan Mitchell leaves Cleveland, I think this team goes straight into rebuild mode. And I think this is a Cleveland Cavaliers team that's really been thinking about that for the last 3 or 4 years now since adding Donovan Mitchell. They haven't really done a whole lot since adding him. They had 64 wins last season, got bounced out in the second round. They had they're at 30 wins right now. They're 30-21 right now in fifth place. And yeah, they're one of the hottest teams in the NBA right now, but they continue to struggle. They can't get it done in the playoffs against some of the better teams. They can't get it done against the Celtics. They can't get it done against the Knicks. They can't get it done against the Pistons. They're struggling against the top tier talent of the Eastern Conference. And if they can get a guy like a James Harden, I mean, maybe it might sway Donovan Mitchell to stay. Maybe it might sway the team into keeping their core nucleus and keeping them for the at least the rest of the year, if not at least into next season. But if Donovan Mitchell leaves before anything happens, the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to not only implode internally, they're going not only implode accidentally. I mean, if they keep the rest of the team together, they're going to implode. They're going to struggle big time without Donovan Mitchell. They're going to intentionally tank. They're going to get rid of everybody, at least by the offseason next season. Expect the Cleveland Cavaliers to be massive sellers if they lose Donovan Mitchell and just go straight back into the draft and see what they can do from there. Because, I mean, this is a nucleus that isn't working. Darius Garland, I already mentioned, isn't playing very much. The only guy that I could see the Cavs keeping and building another nucleus around would be Evan Mobley, because Evan Mobley is that young, is that talented of a player in terms of he's like 6'10", stands, he's big, he's skinny, but he's big. He's 6'10", incredibly good at playing. He's a defensive player of the year candidate last year, and he's playing like that this year. He's averaging 1.5 blocks, 1 steal a game. So I think this is a Cleveland Cavaliers team that's going to be they're going to be a team to watch here for the foreseeable future, for at least the next few days, to see what they do at the trade deadline, and then we'll see what goes on from there, because this is going to be something to watch out for as we go on. Now, the last thing I was thinking about, I guess we can mention it. Okay, I got breaking news. What was I just saying about Donovan Mitchell? From Tim Bontemps, a senior writer for ESPN, Donovan Mitchell is unlikely to sign an extension if in Cleveland if they have another early playoff exit this year. What did I just say? I'm telling you, this is a legit situation. This is a Cleveland Cavaliers team that has not been able to get over the hump for the last 4 years now. 4 years. They lost to the Celtics, they lost to the Knicks, and they lost to the Pacers last year. They lost to somebody else. I can't remember the fourth team, because Donovan Mitchell's been there since 2021 or 22. I can't remember. But regardless, this is a Cavs team that needs to find a way to get over the hump. They need to, especially if they want to keep a talent, a star talent, an absolute superstar talent in Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is a great player. He's a valuable piece. He's one of the best players in the NBA, one of the most underrated players in the NBA. So, he's a guy that hasn't been to a conference finals. He's a guy that's looking to get to a conference finals, if at least get to a finals and compete on a finals caliber team. And he hasn't been able to do that yet. So we'll see. We'll see if they decide to move off of Donovan Mitchell before the trade deadline to get some piece of value off of him. We'll see if the Cleveland Cavaliers believe in their own team to try and get something done, to try and see if they can even think about going on a run in the playoffs to get to a conference final, to get to an NBA final. But if they're smart, and I think this is something that's coming to me right now, this is all coming off the fly. This is my initial reaction to all of this. If they're smart, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers decide to move off of Donovan Mitchell before the trade deadline, move off of him, move on, and move on to greater. I said move on 3 straight times. Move on to greater pastures. Get the team right. Build your core nucleus around Evan Mobley. Maybe you keep Darius Garland at that point. Maybe you don't. But you build your nucleus around Evan Mobley as your anchor, as your defensive anchor, and you bring offensive pieces around him and see what happens. I think they're going to do that. If I'm the GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers, as tough of a decision as that is, I think that's what you have to do. I think it makes the most sense. I think it's what you have to do with everything that's going on in Cleveland, with everything that's going on in the Eastern Conference and around the NBA in general, with the state of the Western Conference as well. I think you move off of Donovan Mitchell and you see what's next. I'll probably be back tomorrow. I'm going to do some research and see some potential suitors for Donovan Mitchell. I think right off the bat, Miami Heat come to mind. Miami's absolutely comes to mind. Imagine if he went to Golden State and paired up with Steph Curry, even though I don't think that's going to happen. How are you going to get him there? Who are you going to give the Cleveland Cavaliers that they would want? Brandon Pajimski and Dre. It's the same situation with Giannis. I don't understand how the Warriors are, how the Bucks are even thinking about, are even entertaining a trade with the Warriors right now. I don't see who they could even give up. Give up your entire team outside of Steph Curry. I don't think the Bucks would take that. But we'll see. We'll see because there's a lot to unpack here. Giannis is another name that's on the move right now. I think is probably going to get traded by the trade deadline. He has no reason to stay. The Heat are extremely interested in him. I think that Giannis deal is something that's going to go all the way down to the wire, all the way down to Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, and we're going to finally see that big trade happen. And we're going to see the GM pull the trigger right at the last second to see if any quality deals come in at the last second. Is the same thing going to happen with this situation? I don't know. With Donovan Mitchell. But regardless, we'll be here to unpack everything. We'll be here to keep going. We'll see what we have a big time show tomorrow where I expect to see some more stuff coming out about Donovan Mitchell, about these trades. Be sure to drop a follow here. We'll be right back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Drop a follow on our TikTok page. We got all of the boys. Nolan's dropping shorts. I'm dropping shorts. Jeremy's trying to drop shorts. I'm trying to get him there. He will soon. He'll be more consistent with it. But we're all dropping shorts right now at Nolan Jamber, at Rob Sport, at Boston Sports Takes, and at the _ Triple Threat Show. All on TikTok. Be sure to follow us there. Be sure to follow the YouTube page. Follow us on Instagram. Everywhere and anywhere you find your podcast, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, you can find us everywhere and anywhere you get your podcasts. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.